Hello everyone. In this session we're going to take a closer look at configuring the firewalls. In our previous video we configured all of the interconnects between the devices. In this session we're going to look at setting up basic firewall configuration so that we can have a private network here have reachability to the WAN. And so today on this switch we have one network, which is the 192.168.100 network, but it has no reachability to the WAN. So if we were to ping 10.10.10.10, there is no reachability. And so that's what we're going to look at today. What we will do first is we're going to configure the firewall. So right now the firewall only has a inside and outside IP address, and we can see this here. What we want to do is make sure that the firewall has a default route to the WAN. There's no routes. And the next hop is going to be 10.10.10.10, which is the IP address of the WAN router here. The next thing we want to do is with this version of software, we're running version 9.9 in this particular lab. We're going to have to define objects. So we're going to define objects for each one of our networks. So in this case, we're going to configure object network, and then we do 192.168. So basically this is just an object identifying our inside subnet. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we create a NAT statement. The NAT statement is going to basically tell the firewall that any traffic coming from 192.168.100.0, I want it to NAT to the IP address of the outside interface. This way the traffic that's initiating from the inside can be hitting our private subnet will be hidden from the outside world. And this is some of my notes that I put together. So this is how we would define the NAT. We have to use objects. Everything in 9.x code is objects. So in this case, we're going to be using this command, object network. And we define an object, this object right here. The next thing we have to do is configure an access list. In order to do so, we can do this is going to be an access list that we will apply to our outside interface. So I've named it ACL out, and we're just going to permit ICMP any. And the next thing is we have to apply that access list to our outside interface. Now we should be able to test. If we ping 10.10, we have reachability. So just to recap, what we've done so far is we configured a basic firewall so that it allows traffic coming from the inside to go to the outside. If we wanted to create more subnets behind our firewall, we could do so by creating loopbacks on our switch, and then we would define those objects in the firewall. We can do one here as an example. We'll create a interface loopback 1, an IP address 172.16.1.0. Well, in this case, let's put 1. Here you will see that the loopback is already up. Loopback interfaces are virtual interfaces, and they are always on. So this is how we can create a pseudo network, or a network behind the firewall. And so this interface here will respond to its own pings. In order to allow this subnet to reach the WAN, we need to add a few routes in the firewall and also some NAT statements. At the moment, if you try to ping 10.10.10.10 and source it from the loopback 1, it's going to fail because the firewall doesn't know anything about this network. But if you were to ping it from VLAN 100, it works. So we will update our firewall first by creating a route and the next hop for this will be the inside interface of the firewall, which is the next hop. Now the firewall should have a route to 1.1, and it does, but it still can't ping outside. It's because we need to allow the traffic to be natted. In order to do so, we need to create an object Now that we've created our object, now we need to configure the NAT statement. Now we should be able to ping successfully sourcing from the loopback, and we can. I hope you found this video, this training session helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.